Of coffee
Huge.
and golf, large coffees for this one.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be on here for a while. We're going to have you guys, of course, jumping in the comments. That's why we do this live each week. But it is the special Masters edition of Coffee and Golf. Got the jackets. We're ready to go.
Ready to go. Love breaking these out.
Me too.
So
it's actually wasn't that long ago we left.
That's right, November.
Because it was November. But guys, of course, welcome back to Coffee and Golf. Special one, like we said this week, because it's the Masters, and it is just, I just have a rhythm every year, Mike. First thing I do is kind of just re-download the Masters app.
Yep.
There's no better app as far as golf tournaments go.
I think in the
incredible.
world, period.
It's just the best app in the world.
In the world.
There you go.
Just what they've done with it. I'm looking at the ones on our TV screens. We've got holes 4, 5, and 6, 15 and 16, featured groups, Amen Corner. When you got multiple TVs in HQ, how can you get hurt? It's going to be beautiful.
Exactly. Hold on. We got to get these comments aren't showing up nice on the screen.
We got to get those comments.
Got to get you guys
fired
with the
up.
comments.
Pete, welcome. Pete's over there in Japan, probably cracking a cold beer because it's late over there. Davis, good morning. A tradition unlike any other.
Yeah, and I'm seeing the comments, but for some reason they're not going on our screen. So sorry about that, guys, but we will read your comments out loud. We've got a lot to talk about here, of course, today. And the first thing, before we dive into, obviously, this week, the Masters, let's just quickly rewind to the Valero because I think you had it, Mike. You picked him.
I had him going in. I was really hot on Jordan with it being hometown game. I said I like him at the Valero. I think it's the last stop before he gets his confidence back heading into Augusta. Making cuts, making bucks. I went with him. Sure enough, winner's circle.
Yeah, and that was an exciting watch. I was watching that Sunday, Easter Sunday, had the TV on, and just, incredible.
The golf world in general was just stoked for Jordan.
And you saw it like in social media too, like all of the guys just afterwards tweeting and Instagram and stuff like that, just so happy and supportive to see Jordan back in the winning circle. It was incredible. And like we talked about last week, he even early in the week, he said he didn't really feel like he quite had the ball striking he wanted. And yet he still came away with that win.
It's funny, and like everyone was saying he's back. I mean, we saw all the memes of like Jordan rising on Easter Day and like all these things coming out. But see Ricky's tweet?
Which one?
He said Jordan's not back. He never went anywhere.
Yeah.
He threw him like that friendship buddy response. But it's just cool, and a lot of his friends came out of there, like you said, on social to congratulate him. So I think he's got a little bit of a hot step stepping into Augusta. We'll talk about him a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm bummed that these comments are not going up right on the screen because a lot of you guys have some really great points here already. A lot asking about Justin Rose. We're going to dive into that. In fact, did you know this? This is something that I just discovered yesterday. And I had a feeling because I always see him perform and play well at Augusta. But do you know he's led the Masters in the first round 4 times?
Really?
4 times already, Justin Rose has led the Masters in the first round. Just hasn't quite sealed the deal. I still remember him, coming down to the wire with Sergio just a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm,
and
right, yeah.
That was a tough one to
we'll have
not
to
get
put
across
my
the
money
line.
on first round leaders. Justin Rose. It's good to know.
But I think ultimately, and we're watching the score, the kind of leaderboard here as we go, and it looks like Rose has already bogeyed the first. So he's dropped down a stroke. But I think one thing that I like so much about the Masters is that it's never just anyone's, like, it's rarely a runaway. The closest thing might be DJ last year.
Right.
But we can see a 5-shot swing like that.
Oh, easily. Look how bad 12 beats people up over the years.
Right.
So anything could happen. I completely wrote Justin Rose off last week on last week's episode. I said, you haven't heard from this guy in, I don't know, a long time.
Right.
But we just found out he's been really struggling with some injuries.
Yeah, withdrew from the players with a back injury, but clearly he's back in action. And again, guys, loving the comments. Chris Mitchell says, seriously, is there a better week in golf? There just isn't.
Right.
I think the one thing that I would say be hugely lacking this week is Tiger's presence, of course.
Big time.
And we're going to talk about Tiger because we had some big news this week about his accident and things like that. But I'll tell you what, so much to talk about. Like I said, we're going to do an extra special Coffee and Golf today. But let's start with earlier in the week. We had the Champions Dinner. And Tiger, speaking of Tiger tweeted he was bummed. He said, I miss running up Dustin Johnson's bill at the Champions Dinner tonight. Still one of my favorite nights of the year.
You know, I had to look that up because I said, is there an actual chance that the champion has to pay for the dinner? And sure enough, they do.
How wild is that?
It's nuts.
They got to pay for the dinner.
You get to pick the dinner, but you also have to pay for it. So I'm thinking there's probably 40 guys in that room. You got to assume all in, and you're at 500 a clip. Because it's Augusta.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to think it's a $20,000 to $25,000 night with tip.
Right.
You got to tip the servers.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's $25,000 they probably don't care about spending because you spend that no problem as a returning champion for a champions dinner.
I'm sure that the bill is the last thing on
the last thing.
But it is an interesting fact. I had no idea
clue
that they paid for the dinner. But it just kind of shows how, I mean, we haven't physically had the chance to see Tiger's condition since the accident, but it does show how bad it truly was, because if you think about it, we're how many weeks out since that accident? He's been recovering at home for about 2 weeks. The fact that even whether, be on crutches or even in a wheelchair, that fact that he still was not physically well enough to attend that dinner shows how significant his injuries were.
Right, and he's not ready to make that appearance in public yet. Like the Tiger we know, he'll come back when he's ready. Blake keeps asking, what would you guys serve? We did that whole last week. We had some fun with that on last week's episode. We were talking about food.
Especially with his fast food. Mike would Uber Eats it.
Ooh, I would Uber Eats the entire thing, but from all over. The best from all over. You got to get that In-N-Out burger from the West Coast over to Augusta.
Yeah. So speaking of Tiger and, of course, the car crash, which has just been in the forefront of everyone's mind, it's going to be a big story again this week because you can't be at Augusta at the Masters and not talking about the fact that Tiger's not there. And it was revealed that there was no impairment, but it was speed that ultimately was the cause. They said somewhere around 87 miles an hour he was traveling, and there was just no way that he could take that turn. I'm not one to second guess someone. We weren't there at the end of the day. We don't know what happened, as far as why he was speeding, whether that was a conscious choice, whether there was some sort of medical incident.
Right.
God only knows. But at the end of the day, again, talking about the significance of those injuries, they said, I think when he hit the tree, he was traveling 75 miles an hour, which just reminds me to go back to what Rory said. At the end of the day, we're all just fortunate to still have him.
75 miles per hour. You're absolutely right. Jeez, that's incredible. It's incredible. But, hey, the case is closed. There's been no foul play. He gets to just move on and focus on his rehabilitation.
Yes.
And that's it.
I apologize that we can't get the comments working on the screen, but we'll read some of them here. Jason Smith says, 75 miles an hour to a tree has me worried about Tiger off the course. Hope he is well between the ears. Prayers for recovery in all aspects. It's true. I mean, that's a significant hit, but I think from what we've been seeing, and we're going to talk about some of those stories, the players have been visiting him. Although we in the public eye have not seen Tiger, it's encouraging to see and hear about some of the interactions that other players are having. Speaking of which, this story, I want to jump ahead here for a second. This is a fun story. So you guys probably heard this one, but Rory recently was visiting Tiger, see how he was doing, and he told the story about Tiger's trophies.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got the wrong one there. Let's see. Tiger's trophies. Here we go. So he said he visited Woods, and he sees the room where Tiger has his 15 major championship trophies. And Rory's like, yeah, that's really cool. Where are the others? And Tiger says, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so great. I don't know.
But in a way, can you blame the guy? We're talking about somebody who has a minimum, if you're talking about even just PGA
got 82
Tour.
wins on the tour, 15 minus from that. We can't do the math. Help us out here. 67 that are just floating around.
Plus. FedEx championship. What do you call it?
Got a couple of those.
You've got your amateur tour.
I'm sure he's run some European tour.
Right. You got to have 100 trophies.
Easily.
So what are you going to do? You need more than one room for 100 trophies. And Tiger went on to say things like, he goes, some of them are with my mother, and he goes, some are at my office, and I don't really know where the rest of them are. And if you think about a feat and accomplishment it is that to win a PGA Tour event, it's just incredible to me to have so many that you almost can't even keep track of the trophies anymore.
That's got to be a cool feeling.
Yeah.
He's lost a couple. He claims one's here, some are there, some are here. There's some that
everything when you always lose one or two things in a big move.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
where's the 09 Bridgestone I don't know.
You know who would do this too? Another guy this would be is Koepka.
Yeah, easily.
I could see Koepka. You know, he wins another major. It goes in the trophy case. If it's another tournament,
it's in the garage in a box.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I haven't unpacked
That's such
it yet.
a Koepka move.
That's
I
a
love
Koepka move. And then it was funny in that press conference. Rory was going on to saying, "Imagine how easy it was for Tiger to win those other tournaments if he, as Tiger has expressed before, that he only had really cared about the majors." Now, that being said, I get that sentiment, but Tiger is such a competitive guy. I can't imagine that he took any tournament lightly. I don't think Tiger ever went into a tournament checked out and won.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger, once he, he's on that tee box, he always switches into a different mode. And he's just, you've heard great stories about him just being competitive at ridiculous things.
100%.
Like who can go across the locker room first. Like he would edge people out because he's a competitor.
He's got that fire.
All the way through.
He's got that fire. We're going to talk about our picks, guys, in a minute. I see a bunch of comments coming in asking about who our fantasy picks for the Masters this week.
Brandon says Koepka's the GOAT with the attitude and all.
The GOAT.
I tell you what, Koepka, you got to laugh how great it is this week. The guy can't even bend his knee to read putts and stuff, and he's out there, and he's in the middle of the pack.
It'd be a heck of a story if he pulled it out, right?
Can
That's
you
for
imagine?
sure. I see you guys, speaking of Rory, we're talking about Rory's dad. Pretty funny. I mean, he hit his father on that hole, screamed 4 right, and then all of a sudden they panned over, and he catches a spectator, which was his dad, right in the back of the leg.
Yeah.
How do you love that? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Rory had a day, and we'll talk about that more in a minute because I want to talk about his rough first round.
It was rough,
and
he was my guy going in
this
week.
Guy going in. It doesn't mean it's over.
Nope.
It is Augusta. Anything can happen, but he now has a lot of ground to cover if he's going to get back in.
Is he under the cut line? Where is he right now?
Contention. Yeah, he should be below the cut line as of this morning. But I'll tell you one thing. Kind of speaking about Augusta in general, I think it's refreshing and it's great to see it. It was great that we had the Masters last year. I think we're all fortunate that it happened.
Definitely.
And in fact, if you haven't watched it yet, on the Masters YouTube channel, they have a 1 hour long documentary of the 2020 Masters. Have you seen this thing yet?
No. I think it's on here too.
I'll tell you what, I watched it the other day. I love it. Those things, there's something.
They're done
about
well.
You get Jim Nance narrating it, and it just gets you ready, But we're fortunate to have it in November, but it's just a different look in November. And it's Pete says that Rory's tied for 60th. But to see it back in full bloom, and just pristine. I'll tell you, I've been watching some of the close-ups, the fairways. It almost looks fake. It's so amazingly pristine.
It really does.
But April is when the course shines, and it's just so great to have the tournament back in April.
It really is. It really is. I love that it's here. Guys, comments are flying in. I love it. Blake says, what's your thoughts on Bryson? Do you guys think he's concentrating too much? I saw a funny little meme this morning. They just showed a clip of it said breakdown of Bryson's first round, and it was Shooter McGavin in that press conference.
Yeah,
where someone's saying, "What about Happy's drive at 450 yards? Pretty incredible." And he had his cigar, and he's like, "Yeah, but how'd he finish? Dead last?"
right.
So I mean, it was a similar story because Bryson was +4 going into it with hitting all those drives, trying to conquer the course.
Well, and that's what I think is so great when you have a setup like Augusta. It refuses to be overpowered.
Right.
It refuses
That's
to.
it.
At the end of the day, you got to be able to putt. It's the guy who's going to putt, I think, is going to win this thing. But I think, again, what Bryson's doing is good for the game in that it's pushing new boundaries. I think we need to find new and creative ways to approach it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, this is now, in November it didn't pay off for him, and right now he's struggling through. So that extra distance is not quite getting him where he needs to be.
But you're right, though. Seeing that clip the other day when he was with Vijay Singh on the range, just crushing drives, not even taking his time in between. He's just hitting a drive, taking another ball, hitting.
The guy's an animal.
He's an animal.
Yeah.
That's the stuff we need to see.
Right.
I love that.
I think
it's new.
Great.
It's different.
It grabs a lot of energy.
Yep.
Jake Sims says JT still has a chance after a late recovery yesterday.
No question.
He had a tougher first, front nine, but then came back with a couple of birdies on the back. I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about our picks in a minute. I was toying with it because I still wanted to. He had been kind of one of my early picks for the last couple of weeks, and JT is a gamer. JT is a guy who will just, even if he doesn't quite have his best stuff those first come around, he shows up on the weekends. So JT makes the cut. I think that you're going to see him in the mix. And like I said, this leaderboard is going to shuffle all over the place. You look at it on a quick snapshot, you see Rose. It looks like he's running away. But this thing's going to be shuffling all over the place.
It's going to shuffle. And on your point of JT, we had the players 71-71, then 64-68 on the weekend. Yeah. So even there, he got off to a pretty poor start, firing par, first 2 days, and then coming out with the 64-68. So here is a guy, like you said, weekends could come and shine.
Yeah,
I'm hot on JT this week.
And just a quick update, Rose just jumped back to 7 under.
He got that one back, huh?
Yeah, he got that one back. So speaking again of Augusta, this I thought was great. I want to show you guys this. The shot it's an interesting perspective, the front 9 greens from above. And not only do you see just how pure this place is and how well protected these greens are with slope and with bunkering.
Gorgeous, huh?
But this is where that challenge is. These are not particularly big greens. And look at that. Look at that. I mean, bunkers every direction there. Small greens, your short game has to be good, and you got to putt. I mean, we saw yesterday some guys, if you got to hit your positions. There were some guys who were above the hole, and there was just no way to stop some of those putts. It's where those strokes add up quick.
Right.
You can go from a birdie putt to a bogey in a second.
Exactly. I've seen a lot of balls go just slide off greens from one side of the green to the next, just not staying on a green. Tough to play golf in conditions like that.
Yeah.
But I love the carpet feel of their rough. Like when they hit all those little chip shots, I'm like, oh,
it's insane. Like I said, it looks almost fake.
Mm-hmm.
Blake talks about Blake Parker in the comments is mentioning about what you said with Bryson saying how just it's electric. Just liking to see that out there.
Sure.
And just seeing different ways different guys play the game. I mean, it's a completely different approach than a guy like Webb Simpson.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? But interestingly, they both have a shot at it.
Robert has a good point here. Wouldn't mind seeing Rose win it. And I wanted to just address that because you know what? I did kind of write that guy off last week, Justin, because he hasn't been in a top 10. He hasn't even been in a field. So I wanted to make that clear why I kind of wrote him off. But I would love to see him come out and win it and just completely give hope to all the guys like Ricky or anyone else out there that's just struggling to get back into that winner's circle and then just have a massive, powerful win like the Masters. So who knows?
And let's see. Davis Reed said small and very contoured greens, tough and fast, and they were fast and firm yesterday. And I don't know. I haven't looked at the weather forecast for the next couple of days. Are we expecting any rain? Anything that would slow it down?
I think we might have rain on the weekend.
If anybody knows the forecast, drop it in the comments. Let's see. Michael White makes a good point. He says Rose is using a mixed bag, 3 or 4 year old driver. Thoughts on that? I think that when it comes to the Masters, guys always go with what they're most comfortable with. One thing that year over year, you rarely see is anybody make a significant equipment change right before the Masters. They tend comfort and confidence is really where they err on the side of. Last year with having it in November, which was around the release of a lot of new equipment, there was a lot of guys who held back a little bit. They didn't make that change. I think ultimately a lot of these guys, as they have the time to go through the new equipment and get properly fit and get some experience with it, that's when they'll start to game it. But just because something new drops, they're not going to put it in play right before the Masters. And a guy like Rose, who's coming back from a long stint away from the game due to injury, I think he's going to go with whatever he's most comfortable with ultimately.
For sure. Kevin says rain today and tomorrow's projected. But on that point of comfort, we even see guys go ahead like Adam Scott bringing in Stevie as a caddy. Some guys will change caddies out for the Masters because they want a guy on the bag who's had success there. You know, Stevie Williams, how much success has he had? Right. I think he's got all of Tiger's Masters on the bag. But on the flip side of that, you got a guy like Lee Westwood who's playing hot coming in.
Yeah.
And he had his fiance or girlfriend or fiance on the bag for those 2 rounds, and then he comes into Augusta and brings his son on the bag, which is an interesting spin, who's caddied for him before but never been to Augusta on the bag. Yeah. So there's a shakeup
Right, it
for
is.
Westwood. I don't know.
But
maybe he needs the shakeup.
Well, Westwood's
never had
a guy
a major
who has so much experience himself there.
Of course.
But I think, no doubt, like, look, their experience plays such a big role in the Masters. And on top of that, you've got some guys that just either play well there or they don't. And you know what? I don't know which of those two categories to put Rory in. Because we'll show you in a second an interesting statistic about his first round performance. He is always, and I don't know if it's this like, it's a version of the first tee jitters like we would experience, something with going into, especially with him needing this to complete his Grand Slam. Rory, he just struggles in the first round, then he settles in. If you look at where he's finished in the top 5 plenty of times. So it's not like Augusta just has Rory's number. But then there's other guys like Justin Rose who just plays well there all the time. So you don't know. And Tiger, of course, is in that category. A specialist there. Jack Nicklaus. I mean, guy's got more green jackets than I have.
He's got
suits
6.
In my
exactly.
closet.
And Jason Smith, by the way, he called me out. He said, I don't think Stevie was on the bag for Tiger in 2019. Sorry, yes, Joe LaCava.
Right.
You know what I meant. Most of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But experience, if you don't, as a player, if you don't personally have the experience of putting some experience on the bag, I think it is a smart move. But again, going back to it, equipment choices, I don't look to see a lot of shakeups. Fresh stuff, yes. A lot of guys will freshen up their wedges or whatever it may be, but not necessarily any big equipment changes going into this because these guys want something they're super, super familiar with. But let's play a fun hypothetical. We're going to pull up 12 here.
Let's go.
All right, so we got a couple numbers on the screen. I had fun with this one. I want to see your comments, guys. Drop them in the comments. We've got up to 8 numbers. Where are you putting it? Number 6 is ridiculous, but where are you guys putting it off the tee here?
Number 6 is pretty ridiculous. I can easily see myself at a number 2. Or a number 8. Like, I could see myself cooking it, you know, like trying to take too much club just to stay out of all that junk and just putting it in the back bunker or in those magnolia.
There you go. I'm seeing so many of you in the comments are throwing
8.
2 in there. You know what? It's so hard to because these guys play the hole so well. As amateurs, for us, it's hard to even imagine how thin that green is. And I tell you what, I'd be the same way. I'd probably be 2 or 8 because you know what would happen is I would not have confidence in the club, and I would either overswing it and smoke it, or you know somehow like hit it fat and come up 2.
Absolutely,
it's just especially just being there, the nerves. Talk about the nerves. But
I love Duke saying he'd lay up 1.
Lay up.
Look at 1.
I'd putt it right across the bridge and make my way around.
Putt to 3. Yeah.
But talk about, and this is why I'm saying don't be surprised if that leaderboards gets shaken up. We've seen so many guys blow up on this very hole, but it's brilliant in its simplicity of how difficult this hole is, because not only is that green thin that you got to dial in your distance right, if you end up in that front or back bunker, it is such a difficult
for sure
hole to par after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially that back bunker. Oh, can you imagine? We think that's a scary shot. Taking a look at that water coming the other way, a super fast green, and trying to just
place it onto the green.
From those bunkers.
No go.
Forget about it.
We've seen some heartbreaks there over the years.
Yeah, so you guys are weighing in the comments.
I love it. We had a 7 in there. I did see a 7. I saw 1-7 from Kevin. Kevin thinks he can get it right.
I love it with
the
confidence. I love seeing some confidence. Yeah, let's see where 7 was. 7 right there.
Right there on the pin.
He just put it pin high, get his birdie and get out of there.
Get out of there. Move on.
Let's see. Davis Reed says, hey, there's a reason they call it the Masters. At the end of the week, we see who's the best of the best. And it's so true. It is such a great test of golf. And just keep an eye on this, leaderboard. We've got Leachman at 3 under, Harmon 3 under, Matsuyama 3 under. Rose is still right there.
Hideki's sneaky good in these big events. He's silent, and then he comes out.
Yeah, he's another guy who can definitely get it done.
All right, what are we talking now? Style? You want to talk about
some of the style? Because
it is a fun part of the majors.
It is, and I think that a lot of the different apparel companies, like this is their Super Bowl for sure.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the world's eyes are on Augusta, so it's a chance to showcase it. But more importantly, I think it's a chance to have a little bit of fun, kind of like what we're doing here, having a little bit of fun with it. And that's what it's all about. I mean, I think one thing that makes golf such a unique sport is it's pretty much the only one where you can kind of express a little bit of your personality through what you wear out there.
100%.
In baseball, you can wear your socks a little higher, you can wear your pants a little baggier.
But you're limited.
You're limited, right? In golf, you can kind of really express yourself. So some of these guys had some real fun with it. Did you see, speaking of which, Bubba's Jordans? Look at these things. I mean,
those are pretty fresh.
They are. What do you guys think of Bubba's Jordans? Let us know in the comments. Mike, I see you commented there with a little fire emoji.
Yeah, I think they're pretty nice. Remember on the podcast he said that he has to ask Jordan if he's allowed to wear them. He said when Jordan said it was okay for me to wear the J's. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, there's a nice name drop. Jordan told me I can wear them.
Yeah,
awesome.
MJ told me I could wear his shoes. I love that green sole, almost a little bit of a translucent. But I tell you what, it's just so cool to see always everything in that yellow, white, green combo. Just killer stuff.
It's pretty killer.
And this would be Bubba. Bubba would wear this. I could see Keegan Bradley wears the Jordans pretty often. So he's the type of guy who would fit this, but only certain players could rock that out there.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of you guys are in agreement. You love the Jordans. You think they're classy. You think they're pretty nice. I agree. Ashton says I'd be afraid to wear these things and get them dirty. I'm the same way with all of these things. I just never want to wear them because they're so crispy clean.
Especially like I'll get a fresh pair of golf shoes and I'm like, I'm okay with wearing them out there, but then that first time I get in the bunker and start shuffling my feet, I'm like, well, there they go.
There they go.
There they go.
Yep.
You know. We had Rory's scripting from Nike. Interesting with the blue combos in there.
Did you notice he switched his script yesterday?
He switched it up?
He took that second blue hat and he wore it yesterday instead of the white one on the left side.
Interesting.
So he made the old locker room switch.
Day of game decision.
He did that.
Huh?
Yep.
Maybe he lost the other hat.
He might have lost it because it didn't match him at all. Like it just.
Who knows? But Nike always does a good job. They did something. I couldn't find a picture. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments. But they did something with some recycle shoes for the Masters, right?
They did.
Nike had something where they were, and that's cool too because you can also not only weave in a little bit of a style, but a little bit of a message in some way, supporting like just a lower impact as far as what the shoes go.
I love it.
Just couldn't find a picture of that. But one that I did find that I thought was really cool was this FootJoy. We've talked a little bit about these before, but the new Premier series they've done some cool things with, and I don't know if you saw this, Mike, but the new cobbler.
Oh, that peach cobbler.
Peach cobbler.
Poulter was wearing them yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, and these are super, super limited edition. Talk about not wanting to get something ruined. One of 75. There's only 75 pairs. I think if I had a pair of these, they're immediately going like in a display case.
They're going to
somewhere.
display case, getting a couple of autographs on them, sure. Let's see here.
I'm just looking at the comments for the some of the recycle stuff, but yeah. So these are really cool. The peach cobbler, just a lot of great style stuff out there, and you can't talk style.
There it is, right on our website, front page, Frank.
Of course,
Nike takes.
Frank, go to the website.
Just go to the website. The Nike shoes are right there.
All right. Well, listen.
Hey, look, they're pretty cool looking though.
They are cool. So you can't talk style without talking Payne Stewart.
Sure.
It's just it's so sad to not. When we lost him so early and don't have him in the game. But here's a guy who epitomized doing whatever he wanted to do, having fun with it, his throwback styles. But little known fact, did you know that Payne Stewart once played the par 3 tournament in a tuxedo?
Now there's style right there.
There you go.
I love it.
Just a tuxedo. Now, granted, it was the par 3 tournament, but I tell you what, just always a hat tip to Payne for gutting out there and just like doing what he wanted to do.
And we'll be down in Pinehurst in a couple weeks, so we'll be able to pay some homage there.
We have to do the obligatory.
Yeah, we got to
next to the statue.
Do me a favor. Put the camera on me for a second.
There you go.
Henry Brown, love the vids. Please say my name, Henry Brown. There you go.
So if we say it 3 times,
Henry Brown.
Will you appear?
Henry.
If we say it 3 times fast.
Oh man, so yeah, Payne Stewart, love that. And one we don't have here, but which was making some noise on social was Brooks came with a pink statement yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Pink top, pink hat. Took the top off, but still kept the pink hat. Hey, whatever.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's different.
Well,
I like it.
Nike. He's a Nike guy. Nike will always kind of push their limits and just try to do new things. Even a standout shirt was Tommy Fleetwood's. That
That's
black
right.
and white combo, Tommy, hole-in-one yesterday, big hole-in-one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I don't know. I saw in some places, I saw a funny, I think it was like PGA memes or something, had a funny meme about, I hate that I'm wearing this shirt.
Right.
I wasn't particularly offended with it. I mean, it was black and white, just like a little bit of an interesting pattern. I don't have a picture of it to show, but I think it's something I would wear. I'd be honest with you. I'd probably wear that. I'd wear that shirt.
I got to look it up now.
Come on.
Is this from yesterday?
They replayed Fleetwood's hole-in-one 1,000
I
times.
know. I know.
You're on like the
here we go. No.
You're on the wrong Masters. You're like 4 years ago. This guy's on the Sun website
coming back
from
to
4
it.
years ago.
Give me 30 seconds.
He'll
to
find it. One way or another, Mike will find it. I liked it. I don't know. Whatever. I thought it was cool. The Killer 5436 says all of his shirts this week have that pattern. I didn't see his whole scripting, but fine. I mean,
I can't find it.
This guy can't find it.
I can't find it, guys. I can't find it.
Open up Instagram is like the first thing you see, and he can't find it. That being said, all right, what else did I have here? I got a lot of stuff we want to talk about today.
I'm staying on Tommy Fleetwood while you go.
You stay on Tommy Fleetwood while I talk about the new.
Because now I have to see it.
Yeah, and now you've made me lose my place here. This I want to talk about, the new video game. Speaking of the Masters,
this thing.
Right? And this is all we got was the announcement. But EA Sports. For all the you gamers out there, we know the big announcement was that Tiger was, kind of parting ways with the franchise. So Tiger wasn't going to be on the cover. So it's like, okay, that's a big disappointment, but what are they going to do to kind of replace that with something, in some way equally as, exciting. Right. And this year, it's going to be released when Augusta made a major announcement that Augusta National is going to be in the game, and it's going to be like a road to Augusta where you have to win your way to play. But this is actually
that's pretty cool.
It's bigger news than you might think on the surface, because Augusta National doesn't really license anything with its likeness out to anyone.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they keep that locked down, which is why you don't see Augusta in any of the games you play. But I think it's great. I think it's one more way that we're seeing the Masters and Augusta embrace the new changes and trends. And there's no doubt gaming is huge. It's grown even more in the past year because of COVID. Both of us, we didn't even have an Xbox. We both picked one up last year so we could play a little bit of golf. Right? Because when we were, especially those first couple months when we were all quarantined at home. So it's interesting. Gary says on some sims, they call the course Georgia. But I'll tell you what, from our own personal inside knowledge, we know that chances are if it's on a sim, if Augusta gets wind of it, somebody gets a cease and desist letter. Yeah, let's put it that way, because it is they, like I said, they keep that thing locked down. So, but for all you gamers out there, exciting news. The new EA Sports game is going to have the Masters, going to have Augusta, and I think that'll be really cool. Like I said, I understand all the reasons why they keep it so, everything with their licensing so tight, locked down, because they want to really make sure they control all of the messaging and everything coming out of the pristineness that is Augusta National. But at the same token, opening it up to new avenues and exposing new people to it is really cool.
Before we move on, because we got a nice number of folks on the stream right now, I want to just tease everyone what we're doing real quickly after this.
Okay.
All right. We're going to be building over at my house a $4,200 OptiShot Sim in a Box 4. Why? We want to see if we could put it together. But here's the cool part. When we're done, we're going to package the whole thing up and send it to one lucky winner.
I think we might be the only people on Earth who've ever built a sim and taken
immediately
that sim
take
back
it
apart
right
the same
down.
day.
Just to send it to you guys.
But now you know our afternoon plans is going to be to do this.
So if you're not subscribed to the channel by now, I'm sure you guys are, but if you're not, subscribe.
Because let's put it this way, another really big giveaway is coming your way. Oh, and speaking of which, potentially later today, maybe we'll do a quick Instagram live. We had ordered that food box.
Yeah, Taste of the Masters.
Saw this in the news. The Taste of the Masters. It's a box of all the food from the Masters. You know, pimento cheese, the whole 9 yards. We ordered it 2 weeks ago to try to get it in time for coffee and golf. We were gonna have coffee and pimento cheese.
Coffee and pimento cheese,
right? It's out for delivery, but it's not here yet. So when it does eventually arrive, we'll probably be at Mike's house building a sim. But we'll do a quick Instagram live and show you guys what it is.
Absolutely. Pete, thanks for the donation. He goes, okay, my address is.
There you go. Pete, again, always paying for our coffee.
Love it. I love it. But, yeah, we will do that. Hopefully the food is good. It's got a bunch of different things in it. There's like the pulled pork.
Yeah.
I don't know how good it's going to transport. It's coming up from, I don't know, North Carolina.
For the price they charge, it better be good.
Better be on dry ice
and
all that. I paid for the expedited shipping.
Jeez. This is going to be the most expensive sandwich we've ever had. And you're at Augusta, they cost like nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, but we're paying for it. Okay, another thing I want to address, of course, the big news that came out of last night was Abraham Answer's penalty. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but after signing his scorecard, Answer was addressed. Was given a 2-stroke penalty for grounding his club in the sand. So here it is. I can't play the actual video because, again, broadcast rights, the last thing we wanted to cease and desist letter. But we do have something that Detective Mike put together.
I went full Sherlock on this one.
But before we do that, I want to read his statement here. So Abraham said, I was just informed that I've been assessed a 2-stroke penalty for unintentionally grazing the sand in my backswing on the 15th hole. While I'm gutted, I can't wait to get after it tomorrow. And honestly, 2 strokes is a hefty penalty at the Masters because 2 strokes, it's a big swing in a field that's going to be this tight. So again, not being able to show it to you, if you watch the video, to me, I'm going to tell you my initial take is yes, and we'll show you why in a second. He did make contact with the sand. So on the purest level, technically speaking, that is a penalty. It is what it is. I don't think there was I'll get this out of your mind. I don't think there was any intention to improve his lie whatsoever. What about you?
100%. I don't think it was intentional at all, but you'll see after the discovery I've made that the sand was in fact touched. So
let's take a look at Mike put these side-by-side screenshots together. Oh, hold on. I got
Detective Mike.
Detective Mike. So
left side, addressing the ball.
Yep.
And then on the right side, he's in his backswing. So you could see that little mound of sand was pushed down as he brought the club back. There you go.
Exactly. So he effectively, on his way back, did graze those couple grains of sand and knock them over. So you can see that it did happen. But did he improve his lie? I'm going to tell you no, because at the end of the day, when these guys are making contact, they're making contact well behind that ball on a splash shot like that. Ryan Miller says Sherlock Mike. And Pete says, hold on, I got to get my magnifying glass.
There you go.
And that's just it. And I think this is also going to be that challenge, is that something like that, it's so insignificant and so small, you're probably not going to feel it. I'm sure it was not intentional, that he was unaware of it, but you get that level of technology. I mean, look how zoomed in that camera was. So it's the old argument of saying the guys who are on camera might have a little bit of a disadvantage than maybe some of the guys other spots of the field that are not on camera.
Yeah. I mean, in that situation, I just walk in and someone shows me, hey, Mike, by the way, we caught it that you hit this. Oh, all right, cool. Sorry about that.
Right.
Like, this is definitely unintentional. I know a lot of people are talking Reed, and Reed, hey, he may have had instances where it wasn't see Reed, they're all popping in, where he knew he moved it but didn't say anything. Completely different side, and that's why Reed catches a lot of the flack.
And look, if you want to see the side-by-side, go to golficity.com, because Ed DeTuza, one of our writers, put together a great article on it this morning, and he actually showed the side-by-side. You can see Answer in the video, and then you can see the Patrick Reed moment that ultimately everyone is going to compare this to. And with Reed, it's kind of hard to explain, but he just was he did a couple of these brush backs, and he hit the sand a couple times. In this case, it was Answer just grazing that sand on his takeaway. But look, there's a lot at stake. It's the Masters. At the end of the day, you got to get you just got to be super careful out there.
That's it.
You just got to. I mean, these guys are hovering that club so close to the sand. You got to be careful. But a lot of you are saying here, Grant says Reed was way worse. There, I do agree. Again, I'm not going to argue intention or not, but I can tell you right now, visibly looking at it, he moved a lot more sand. He just did.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, the argument with that was he should have been able to feel that. Let's see here. Getting those live updates. Blake says Rose just dropped another shot. He's back to 6 under.
Yeah, and just give you another update. Best in the field so far today through 4. Molinari -2 brought him back to even. So no one is better than -2 yet out in the field today.
And Grant is asking opinion on JT. He said it earlier. Don't write JT off. I think JT he's a grinder. He's a gamer. I think if he can have a decent showing today and he goes into the weekend, JT plays the weekends, really well.
Can't write anyone off, man. You just can't. You can't. Someone can get hot today, Webb can go, low today. Zalatoris, look at Weisberger. He went -5 yesterday.
Yeah. Here, Zach
or today.
Miller makes a good point. He says 90s cameras would have never seen that, just blur. And it's true. It's like, again, it's an advancement of the technology. But we had that recent announcement, which we talked about here on Coffee and Golf, where the PGA Tour is going to be working with Amazon in order to broaden their broadcasting ability, where similar to what you get with the majors, you're going to get where you're going to have a camera on every guy and you're going to be able to see every shot. So that will, if nothing else, eliminate that idea that the guys who are in the lead are the ones who are subject to more of these rulings that are often called in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Grant says JT definitely a 3rd and 4th round beast. I agree with that. Let's see. You think
these are all great comments? Yep.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. So Abraham Answer, that's the big thing. Let's jump right ahead to. We're gonna do a little bit of a non-traditional heartbreak of the week. Right. So this is usually where we'll play a funny video clip, often one that you guys have tagged us in. We're going to switch gears because we want to keep it really Masters themed here. And I think one big thing we want to talk about is about being one of the big heartbreaks. I think was just Rory's performance in the first round.
All around.
But take a look at this. I hinted at this earlier in the show. Take a look at this interesting stat. Rory Mcilroy, his scores in majors. Now, this is not just the Masters. This is majors since 2015. He's plus 32 in the first round, and he's 64 under in rounds 2 through 4. And yeah, as Alan says here in the comments, hitting his dad, that could be your heartbreak. He played bad. He hit it. I mean, it's a tough day to say you played bad and you hit your dad while you're out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a rough day for him. But Kevin is on the other side. Rory all the way, baby. -64 in rounds 2, 3, and 4. First round was just a blip.
That's what I'm saying. Don't write him off. It's not over yet. And here, for anybody who's joining us, this was earlier. We talked about Rory hitting his father with the ball on his approach at the 7th hole. But look, I mean, what are your thoughts, Mike? Because you've been preaching him for the last 3-4 weeks that Rory was your guy.
He was my guy, and it was rough to see him end up where he is now. I believe he's +4, and he's 2 off the cut. So he's just got to come out to a good start. I think if he goes low today, makes the cut, then like we saw in the past years from Rory, he can get hot on the weekends. And some of these guys are on top don't have the nerves to handle it, may fall off. So again, still there with Rory, not writing him off yet.
Chris Mitchell says, well, technically, he aimed at his dad.
Yeah, he did.
And Randy says, I heard his dad took it like a champ, which he did.
He totally did. Didn't even flinch.
You look at he shook that off like it was a mosquito bite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a big one. And I just don't know what it's going to take for Rory ultimately to get that green jacket, seal the deal on the career Grand Slam. It's like I said, I don't know what category. You guys tell us in the comments what you think, but I don't know what category to put him in because he struggles often early, but he's had plenty of Masters where he's been in that top 5. So it's not like it's just you can't just blankly say Augusta's got Rory's number.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to put this out there to all of you, and I want you all to drop a comment. Who gets the career Grand Slam first? Rory Green Jacket, Jordan PGA Championship. I'm sorry, Spieth. Spieth PGA Championship.
That's a good question.
Spieth at Kiowa this year? Ooh.
That's a tough one. Kiowa plays, it can play extremely long. They can tip Kiowa out over 8,000.
They could.
And
I didn't notice I didn't put Phil U.S. Open. I left him out of that mix because I don't think he's there anymore. But go ahead.
Yeah.
But Kiowa is a rough track. You've played it. It's windy. Anything can happen there.
Rory, Spieth, Rory for sure, Jordan, Spieth. I'm reading through you guys' comments. Spieth.
And maybe you guys are going by just like age, maybe because Jordan has more time. The Masters is a much harder tournament to win. There's a lot of variables.
Mitchell with a hot take. Neither one of them's going to do it.
All right, Phil, U.S. Open. Would you say that, or is he done? Here we go. Is Phil Mickelson getting too old? He being the top running. There you go.
Or do you think he can have a chance of winning a tournament again? It's
hard to rule guys out, man.
Because
it's so hard.
You also want to gauge what really is the effect of age, right? Because
Stewart Cink won the Safeway Open, guys, in the fall.
Right, and when we talk about age, you think about how it wears on the body, but I don't know if I've seen Phil in better shape physically.
Physically, he's in great shape, and he can win these events. He's just got to get his game down.
Hitting the ball further than he's ever hit it before. I think.
Is everyone else just that much better on tour?
Yeah, well, I mean,
you know what I mean? Is he just not as good?
But it does depend on the course.
He just needs a course that he can go low in.
Ashton says Mike and Frank will get a Grand Slam before both of them. So then don't hold your breath, guys, because it's not. This is the only way. The only way we get green jackets is when we order them online.
That's it. And the only way we get Grand Slams is when we go to IHOP. That's it. Sorry.
Oh, but that's our heartbreak of the week is just seeing that with Rory. It's a tough call. But some of you asked about Spieth. I 100% think Spieth is in it. We're gonna dive into here. Let's go ahead and get right into it because I want to talk. We're gonna do coffee,
and I'll end that part by saying I think that Ricky gets a major win before any of those guys get a Grand Slam. I'll just leave that there.
Major win. Which major do you think Ricky would win?
Because he's got 4 chances. Well, 3 chances.
Well, he's got to get in them.
He's got to get in them, right? Right.
While I 100% say, like I said last week, Ricky will be back. He's slumping.
Of course, he's going to win again.
It's just, yeah. Who's a guy that I'm going to tell you what's going to rack up a few majors? Colin Morikawa. He's got one.
He's got one. He should get a couple, yeah.
I see Morikawa getting right in that mix of having 3-4 majors in his career. Whether it's a Grand Slam or not, I don't know. But his game, his swing is just too pure, and he's too young to not start racking them
100%, man. I'd put Zalatoris up on there. I'd put Victor Hovland. So many guys.
All right, what do you say?
Good call on Ricky. Thank you, Chris. Let's do it.
Segment. So, speaking of which, Mike, I know, like I said, you look at that leaderboard, you could say, Rose, whatever, but now he's back to 6. It's a 3-stroke lead now, back to 6 under. What do you think? I think there's going to see a lot of shakeups on this leaderboard. Mike, who's your pick?
All right, I'm going to go this week with Webb Simpson. I like Webb. I think he plays fairly well there. I was just trying to pull up his stats. I didn't get to him in time. But here's a guy, he's -2, so he's definitely going to be there over the weekend. Hang with me because I want to just go to his stats here. Here we go. Best finishes in majors right here. We've got the Masters, T44, Kuka, 24. All right, so he's had 3 top 20-ish finishes at the Masters. I'm sorry, he had more than that. 2019, 2020, T5, T10. So his last 2 appearances at the Masters was T5 and T10. I knew there was a reason why I was hot on Webb, but just he's in great form. He's playing well. He tends to get sneaky good on the weekends, and he's just an all-around great dude. He's won a major before, U.S. Open, so I think he could do it.
There you go. And I'm reading some of your comments. Zach Miller says, I think Colin Morikawa wins one again before either of those guys. I'm putting my money there as well. And then my pick, and you know what? You guys are doing the work for me with some of your comments because you're saying it right here too. But I'm going to tell you what. I got to go with Jordan. I think that he's where he needs to be. 1 under, tied for 11th, hasn't teed off just yet. But like I said, you're going to see a lot of shuffling at the top of that leaderboard. I think his confidence is there. I think his experience at Augusta is something that's going to help him get over the line. Here's a great insight. Cody Hilbert says Jordan is going to have an incredible day. Had a great range session earlier. I just think that you're going to see some some shakeups there, and I think that if Spieth can put together another solid round, maybe go 1 or 2 under today and go into the weekend that way, I really like his chances. However, I will say the caveat is there's a lot of guys that it could be anyone's game. And another one that was right on the tip of my tongue was still JT. I know he's got more ground to cover. He's coming from further back, but we've seen him do it. We've seen him cover ground like that. And the other one too, who was briefly a leader at one point, is Patrick Reed. Speaking of Patrick Reed, at 2 under, Reed could definitely do it. Matsuyama could do it. Leishman, I think, would be a strong pick, especially with the position he's in at tied for second.
Brian Harmon, sneaky good in the majors. Yep.
And this is what you want to hear.
Yep.
When you're watching a major, the Masters, you want to be where it's just like it could be anyone's game. I don't want to see it just being a one-man show.
100%.
I think it could be anyone's game.
Here's another interesting one. I'll throw this one here out at you guys. Drop it in the comments because this could be interesting. Both Stuart Sink and Bernhard Langer are +2. If they make the cut, which guy do you think makes it further or best on the leaderboard? Because I love watching these old timers. Yeah. And Stewart's really not that. He's 47. Langer's 63. So Langer's really the old timer. But seeing some of these, like we talked about, Freddie's usually in the mix.
Usually in the mix.
I love seeing him up there. I love seeing the amateur up in the mix, or at least up in like the top 25. So I'm just curious. It'd be cool to see some of those guys.
Brian says if JT gets hot, it's over. Jake Sims Collins, Morikawa is +1. Thoughts on how he could finish? No doubt he could be in the mix. And also we do have this X factor of the weather.
That's right.
And I see, I'm trying to scroll through so many comments. I appreciate everybody getting involved in the show every week. But I saw some comments asking, like, what about how the weather can change it? 100%. It could slow things down a little bit with the greens. And it really just, we got to see, look for those hot putters. When the flat stick gets hot, anything can happen. Aaron Fennell says Leash gets around Augusta very well. Couldn't agree with you more. So I think it's the weather gets in there. If it's not too much rain, just enough to kind of slow things down, you could start to see some of these scores, a little bit more guys in the red numbers.
Sure. Yeah, you could definitely see it.
For sure.
Fast greens don't help.
But yeah, I just have this feeling in my bones about JT doing something.
Yeah, just yeah.
You know what I mean? JT has the all-around game to get it done. He just does. And it's just going to matter of, like, I think he has a great way of being very competitive and dialing up when he needs to. He just got a little bit still of that. It's that youthful, like, a little bit where he gets frustrated at times.
But it may amp him up. I mean, he's got a long hill to climb.
Casey says, they're speaking with JT's got a good look at birdie on 1. But we got a lot of great golf ahead of us to watch. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure.
That's for sure. All right, a little bit of an extra long coffee and golf today. We had a lot of fun with this.
But we appreciate you guys hanging on.
Who doesn't want to talk about the Masters? We could do this all day, but we've got some exciting things to do today. Like I said, Mike hinted at it earlier. We're shooting a video this afternoon. We're going to build a sim, and we're going to give it away.
Sick.
So excited.
We did one last summer with the OptiShot sim in the box too, but it was just the netting and the technology. Right. This, you're getting the casing, the projector with the screen, everything.
Yeah, and I'm just reading your comments as we go.
Pete's nicely tipsy now.
I appreciate all of you guys' support here.
Really do. Thank you guys. That's the reason why we can give this stuff away.
It's really because of you guys. I'm looking at some of your comments. What do you guys think? And I'm seeing some people asking about Rose. Just give me a real quick take in the comments. Do you think he takes this thing wire to wire and wins it? Because like I said earlier, this is interesting fact. Justin Rose has led the Masters 4 times from the first round. Hasn't quite got over that line. So let's see.
Blake, welcome to your first ever coffee and golf. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah, it's always fun. Make sure every Friday, 10 a.m., get the coffee ready.
Yeah.
We're going to go.
We're going to do it. And Ashton, thanks for the love, man. Appreciate that.
Obviously, this is the event that we all, we can't wait for every year, but there's a lot of great events on the schedule. And I think we've got to do a special edition of Coffee and Golf for the Ryder Cup.
In Whistling Straits?
You want to be? I'd love to be there if we could be there.
I think
we'll do it from a Starbucks in Whistler.
Let's not rule it completely out. All right.
Let's
not
that
rule it
off the
completely
table.
out.
We'll not take
it's
that
probably
off the
99.9 no, but we'll see.
But anyway, everybody, appreciate everybody joining us live every single week. If you're watching this on the replay, still hop in the comments because we will be reading them after the fact. Like I said, we've got a busy day. We're going to have the Masters on all day. And stay tuned on Instagram. If the food does arrive, we did order the Taste of the Masters food box. If it does arrive, we wanted it to be here for the show, but if it arrives later, we're going to hop on live really quick and run you guys through it. So
that'd be fun.
Can't wait for that. Happy Masters Week.
Enjoy it, guys.
Enjoy it, guys. We'll be back with you guys again live next Friday.